50 miles north of the target, over our initial point, the IP run-in. Earl and Bob took a hit. They didn't have any lights on, and the airplane was flying fine. But Earl's attitude was, we've been trying to get this thing, and the weather looks good enough today like we're going to get it. We don't seem to be hurt very bad, so we're going to go. Now, they could have turned and gone back out right there. Nobody would have ever said a word to him. Well, after 9 days of practice, the strike force leader had gotten a little off course. And so when we reached 14,000 feet and started to roll in on the target wasn't where it should have been. It was a mile or two further away from us than normal. And so rather than being on a 60-degree or 45-degree dive, we were on about a 30-degree dive. Just as we started to roll in, Eamon and Houghton took another heavy hit. And I noticed that Earl was only doing about 300 knots and was falling back rapidly. So I came back on the power and slowed to 300 and got in tactical formation with him. And as we were climbing out, and he didn't wait. You know, usually we'd go all the way to the Red River before we'd start climbing. And in this instance, we were already climbing by the time we got to the Red River. He wanted to get as high as he could to increase his glide distance, which is poor at best in the F4. The first thing I tried was I had him jettison his drag chute. And I tried to put the pointy end of our airplane right in that drag chute compartment. But there was so much turbulence coming off of his airplane that we couldn't get within 5 feet of him. It just was tossing us around something fierce. So we backed up. As I started moving up against him, I'd get within about a foot of his fuselage, of his belly, and I'd feel the nose of my airplane start to come up. And I said, well, this is not good, because if we get these canopies jammed, it's pretty obvious we're going to be going down too. And if we get these canopies jammed, we may have a difficult time getting out of this airplane. I'm sitting there looking up at his airplane, and there's the tailhook. I said, well, that extends down at about a 45-degree angle, and it's about 6 feet long. That should get us out of some of this turbulence. So I asked him to put the tailhook down. And the only thing I said to him was, I want you to fly as smooth as you've ever flown this airplane. And he did. He flew it just as solid as could be. And we very gradually eased in and put the tail hook right in the middle of the windshield and started pushing. Now, the airplane was going down at about 3,000 feet a minute. And once we started pushing, we noticed that the vertical speed reduced to about 1,500 feet a minute, which means we've just doubled his distance right there. And from 30,000 feet, he probably could have glided about 35 miles. So now we're looking at 70. And I'm thinking that's going to be pretty close. And the engine caught fire again, so we shut it down and said, that's it. We can't take a chance on starting it again. So we finished the push another 6 or 7 minutes on one engine. And it was just enough to get us to the jungle. We watched, after the push, we watched Earl and Bob eject, saw that both chutes opened. And there was no way we were going to make it where we wanted to go. But we were over jungle. Said, okay, I'll see you on the ground. And away he went, and about 30 seconds later, I was gone. I got to watch my airplane crash into the jungle. There's no way I could have left Earl Eamon. Absolutely no way. My dad, whether he knew it or not, had taught me what integrity is. And, you know, some people describe it as doing the right thing when you're alone. It goes way beyond that. If I had come home and related to my dad that this buddy of mine was in trouble and all I did was watch him go down and eject, he would have said, "Did you try to help?" I guarantee you, he would have asked me if I at least tried to help. And there was no way I could let myself go home and let that happen. Absolutely no way. I didn't have any choice. I had to stay and help. Whatever, try something. We're lucky that something worked.